Good afternoon, everyone. This is week 6. I generally don't do these videos without having typed out a whole bunch of notes or having the questions laid out for me, but I really felt like this would be a good opportunity to just share the first things that come to my mind after watching this video. It definitely was a surprise, the content of it. I won't lie, I did watch Tim's first, so thank you, Tim, for biting the bullet and going first. This video was a tough pill to swallow, but it was also kind of hard to understand. I won't be shy about saying that either. I understand that the guest speaker is a professional in his field, and so he's talking from a lot of experience and hearing a lot of people's stories about trauma and also going through trauma himself. And I just had a hard time understanding his process of dealing with and kind of overcoming shame from what I gathered. And I'm welcoming people's feedback in replying to this, but what I gathered from what he said was in order to deal with your trauma and your shame, you have to go back and see your situation and your experience in the grand scheme of things, and you have to learn how to define good versus bad. I understand that a little bit, and sometimes our experiences might seem really bad, but in the grand scheme of things, they aren't really bad. But honestly, I hesitate to take that approach, because if somebody comes to you and opens their heart to the most traumatic event that has caused so much shame in their life, maybe for years, if you tell them, well, you need to go back and really ask yourself if that was really such a bad event in the grand scheme of things, that would be so hurtful if that's what somebody had said to me. Because I didn't go through an experience like the host did. However, we've all had some type of experience in our life, whether it be majorly traumatic or it just maybe caused shame or it was something that was really difficult for us to process. All of us have something that we're still working through, or we have worked through and we've learned from it. So honestly, I feel like in my own life, one of the best ways to work through shame is to talk about it and just be honest, and that opens the door to receive somebody else looking into your experience and saying, that was terrible, and validating what you went through, and then you can walk through it. But if somebody just tells you, was it really bad? Maybe it was. But if that's the first thing somebody asks you after you open up your heart about your experience, I feel like that is just a very interesting route to take. It wouldn't be what I would do. And of course, this video is short, and there's so much more to learn about the topic. But I think when it comes to shame, you have to handle shame with so much tenderness and care and concern and compassion for that person who is sharing their experience with you, because that is such a vulnerable place to be in. And like the host of the show, it took him 25 years to even open up about it. And so I think we just need to be really careful about how we are receiving those stories and how we are reacting to those stories. Because the person who's opening up, it is a very tender place to be when you're vulnerable. So that is my first takeaway from the video. There were good things to take away as far as going back in your experience and kind of, if you will, putting yourself back in those shoes, as well as seeing it from a different perspective, and maybe realizing like, okay, I need to look at this again in order to understand what happened and to process it. It's really important that you you process those things, because processing the experience can also help with dealing with the shame. Because the shame, as I talked about in the video, it can impact a person for a long time, and it impacts a lot of different areas if you don't learn how to process it. So it's very important to at least get that process started and looking back at your experience. So that is my first reaction to this video, just fresh after watching it. So please feel free to add your takeaways, maybe to help me process this video as well. And I look forward to hearing your guys' responses for this week too.